Welcome back, everybody. My name is Roberto Cipriano, Acting President and PR Secretary of PTK, and we are here at the February Spotlight. You may remember our last Spotlight back in November, December area, and we've had a little break since then. But today we are joined by a very special student, a very excellent student. I will let him introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Jason Riddle. Sergeant Riddle when you're in trouble.
Absolutely. Always with that joke. I love it.
It's a great
All right.
joke.
So as you know, we have a very casual, conversation here. I'm usually the overdressed one. Finally, for once in my life, I have been outshined by this excellent suit right here. So you look great, man. Really
I
do.
figured it was going to be you that stepped
No,
up.
I know.
And I was like,
trust me, I was going to wear the
I better
navy
come
blue.
come in hot. So
I don't want to intimidate anyone.
no,
but
you did
now
good.
I'm the
You both did
intimidated
good.
one.
Yeah, no, you're
I'm
good.
just kidding. So yeah, we'll just go right into it. A few casual questions. It might be a little shorter than last time, but we will take you along for the ride, and we hope you enjoy this month's Spotlight interview. Welcome back. All right. So Jason, I'd like to know a little bit about your background, your history. Where you came from, what you've done, your time here at Wake Tech.
Okay.
Go ahead, enlighten us.
So I'm retired military. I retired
Nice.
in 2020 after 22 years of service.
Wow.
Technically it's 21 years and 6 months, but I was enough of the 22nd year to be 22 years.
Of course.
But and who's counting the days? At that point he still stopped counting. So I did that for a long time. 8 deployments.
Wow.
4 or 5 different bases that I PCS to. I used to joke that I felt like the war was following me. And I was an aircraft maintainer. So I started out in aircraft maintenance. I was an A-10 mechanic, an avionics guy in the 74th Fighter Squadron. That's what this is about. I'm a world famous flying tiger.
Nice.
And,
Wow.
and I keep that representation still going.
Absolutely, as you should.
And so I retrained into communications, and then I had nothing until 2005. And then I went to the UK for the summer for an installation job that was across RAF Lakenheath and RAF Mildenhall. And Al Qaeda decided to attack all over the UK. That summer I was there, and I'm like, dude, they're following me. And so then and I had a couple of other deployments between there. Fast forward to 2010. I moved to Belgium, and I was on the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe's communications team.
Wow.
And he's actually the 4-star I worked for is actually in the news. He's Admiral James Stavridis. He's the international correspondent for MSNBC. So he's on Morning Joe a lot. And it's kind of cool because I get to hear his voice still, which is weird.
Yeah.
I used to have to answer the phone and patch his phone calls and deal with his weird emails. And I hear his voice still on TV, and I'm like, what do you want? Your stuff's fixed. Leave me alone. But then the Libya mission came up while I was there. And again, so like the war's following me.
Yeah.
Right.
Course.
So nothing had happened in Libya for years.
And
Then they decided to have a revolution. And so that happened there. And then fast forward to 2015. I went back to Iraq as a member of the Joint Special Operations Task Force Arabian Peninsula. So I do have a little special operations background.
nice. Wow.
And we went back to Iraq and stood up the Joint Special Operations Task Force in Iraq. So like this kind of cyclic motion of going back to places kind of always happened throughout my career. It was cool and weird at the same time. And then my last job was sort of back in aircraft maintenance as a communicator in the RAV, the UAV world. So
Okay. Oh wow.
it was
Which is
interesting.
a very big thing nowadays.
It is right. And
Yeah.
and granted, we ran training missions and more local stuff there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Well, you have a really great story. I mean, so I'm curious how you ended up here at Wake Tech.
so I did apply at state, like just raw right out of the military.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, they didn't want anything to do with me. I had not been in school, formally since 1998.
Yeah.
And so they were like, no, it's cool. You don't have a GPA. You don't have an existence in our system. No. And also, I wasn't a resident long enough. Even though I had 14 non-consecutive years in this state, they didn't care. Because I had broken away and come back. They're like, you have to reestablish your time here.
So now you're at Wake Tech.
I went to Wake Tech after I'd met that quota.
Absolutely.
That's part of the reason I stayed at the theater as long as I did.
Wow,
yeah.
Absolutely. We have a really decorated background and story. So regarding PTK itself, the Honor Society, when did you find out about it? How did you make it in? And how long have you been in it so far?
So I learned about the Honor Society being a thing because my wife has been taking her MBA almost this whole time I've been in school. Okay. This was her last year. She just graduated the other day. And so she's like, oh, she got pulled into an Honor Society while she was there. And I was like, what is this thing? And so she told me about it. And I was like, okay. And I saw at that first semester, they had run a table in the B building for a little while. Yeah. And they were like handing out just snacks and stuff to people. And they were super nice. And I was like, well, maybe this is something important, right? Would
be interesting.
And I did want to like get as much college experience as I can, right? You know, I didn't get it as a kid or as a younger person. Yeah. So I'm like, why not take it now?
Yeah.
Right.
And you've been here since the recent induction in the winter?
Yes, in the winter.
Okay, nice. So I believe I may have seen you there. Right? Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've seen I can't remember names, but faces.
I remember seeing you there. Yeah. And I was like, that dude's squared away.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a ride. PTK, I think you would agree, is a really great organization.
Absolutely.
And anybody out there, as I say in every Spotlight interview, if you get that letter in mail, email, whatever you do, you get an invitation from PTK. A lot of people I've heard have been like, what is this thing? I'm not sure, so I'm just going to like ignore it. Don't do that, especially if you're transferring to another school.
Yep.
There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of transfer scholarships. And hey, a lot of ways for you to, sharpen your leadership skills in PTK. There's a lot for everyone, and I highly recommend you join. So,
same. Definitely. Yeah. Join if the opportunity comes your way.
Absolutely. So we have spoken a little bit about your history and what you're at Wake Tech for. So we've kind of led into this question a little bit, but what are your plans after Wake Tech and after PTK in general? Where do you see yourself in?
So I'm hoping to be at State, hopefully this summer, if that works out. If not, in the fall. And then from there, I don't fully know yet. There's a lot of what ifs in play. I'm hoping that this the one and only math class that I took is my last math class for the rest of my life. I took quantitative literacy. It is an outstanding class. It's Math 143. It's a great class.
Recommended.
But yeah, that's where. So A out of here, BA out of State in international relations with a focus on Middle East.
Okay, absolutely. Would have international relations with a focus on the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So is that what your career choice is? Is there a certain position that
so I landed on that degree from a Google search one day.
Okay.
What degree do Green Berets get? And that's where I landed. And so I'm looking in that scope and that realm to hopefully to return to the special operations community, rather it be hopefully not at Fort Bragg, because I don't have any desire to return to Fayetteville ever again. Hopefully in the D.C. area or possibly Boston. Okay. Those are possible locations we're looking at.
Nice.
Or even in the CIA itself.
That would be really cool.
Counterterrorism and counter.
That would be awesome. And they're looking for that kind of stuff.
They are. They're looking for analysts of all type. Yeah. I would like to focus in targeteering, and by targeteering, like looking at potential high value threats.
Yeah. Just put aside any defining attributes, right?
Okay.
Who would you say you are exactly? If you didn't have to use anything, external to really explain it, how would you describe yourself?
I'm loyal sometimes to a fault. I've called myself a pit bull because, pit bull, when they bite, they don't let go. I've felt that too many times in my professional life and here. I would say I'm definitely loyal to a fault sometimes. And it is a strength. It's not an equal weakness, but there are times where it's a weakness too.
Of course.
And
it's good that you know that.
Yeah,
because that gives you strength as well.
That's what 46 years gets you. It gets you the, hey, you might have screwed that up voice in your head.
You definitely don't look 46.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take it.
What is your favorite part about this whole process been? What would you say you have learned in all of it? And how do you feel like it's made you a better person?
The deep questions towards the end.
Always.
So I think it's made me grow a lot. I feel like I have grown more understanding for the civilian world in general.
Yeah.
A lot of GIs will say we experience sort of isolationism, and because we're outside of what everyone else is doing, and kind of the rest of the world moves on without us, right?
Absolutely.
It's kind of cool to come back to the air quotes real world. One thing I've been able to do is get involved politically when I wasn't able to do that when I was in the military.
Interesting.
I am a volunteer for the Wake County Democratic Party.
Okay.
And cool. I have volunteered so far across 9 different campaigns, and I've only had 1 loss.
Nice.
So I felt like that was a pretty big success there.
Absolutely.
And the loss was Sherry Beasley, if anybody wants to know. I have that. And then I think one of the things I've gotten here is that working around young people, and I did have this while I was on the job too, it keeps you young, right? And knowing and kind of understanding where some of these kids are coming from. I've been able even to take it home to my own children. My oldest son is a student at Wake Tech too.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have that too. We commuted together for that first semester.
That's awesome. That's a father-son.
It was kind of cool. We had a lot of because it takes a half hour to get from Apex, so we had time to talk about all sorts of stuff. And so we did that. So it's cool to get a chance to get to understand the people who are going to enter the workforce, right?
Of course.
Then they kind of get also out of me, they get a glimpse of what a future supervisor might look like.
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully I put forth a positive impression of what that future supervisor might look like. And that is a lot that weighs on me a lot.
Yeah.
Because I really try to focus on the example that I set within the classroom and beyond the classroom.
Of course. So, Jason, we've had, I would say, an incredible conversation today. It's been really interesting, knowing about your past. And as I said, you have a decorated history, and it's really in both ways. I mean, pun intended, if anything, right? If there's any student out there who's going through the process of Wake Tech, or especially PTK students or people who are thinking about joining PTK itself, or with some context, some GIs out there who maybe haven't accustomed themselves to civilian life as well as you have. Any message to any of those students or other people that you may have?
So I would probably say that my message to both is pretty much the same. I would advise any veterans or any former military leaders to step outside your comfort zone. A lot of us go right back into the same career that we left as a civilian, and obviously making way more than we did while we were on the job. Mm-hmm. But there's usually a timeline on that. Your body has an expiration date, and to think beyond that. So that's one piece of advice I would leave out there for other veterans. And then also to the students of the school and also our members. Again, step outside your comfort zone. We all fuss and whine about involvement in our clubs.
Yes.
I'm president of the History Club. Come to my History Club meetings, please. 2:00 every second Wednesday. Classroom varying. We're between spaces. It was one of the things I told myself when I joined the military. I wasn't always as extroverted as I am now. And I got a piece of advice, like I swear, like on my way out the door for basic training, was volunteer for everything. And I was like, screw that. That sounds crazy. And when I got to basic training, I started volunteering for things. And everything I volunteered for worked out great. Or it got me out of something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And so that experience in itself, and that's what I tell recruits that are going to basic training now. Volunteer for everything.
Yeah.
It will happen in your favor. Trust me.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say. Step outside your comfort zone and do something and start small. And know where your small is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people love to shoot way high.
Yeah.
Right? We all do it with fitness. Right? We're like, I can lift that. No, you can't. So do it small. Pick something, pick a volunteer opportunity that is like an hour long or a half hour long. and then do that. And then you'll see that maybe you want to do more
a little bit, yeah.
and pick it up a little bit more and see how it fits into your life and into your schedule. And you'll expand your social circle too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people have a very tight social circle, and again, it becomes its own echo chamber.
Of course.
And nothing good comes out of it.
That was really good advice. I know someone out there that will resonate with for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jason, I really appreciate you joining us for the February Spotlight interview.
Thank you.
It's been a great conversation, and it's been an absolute pleasure to meet with you.
Great to finally sit down.
Yeah. Enjoy it, because they'll never let us do it again.
Right.
2 Italians in the same place is not going to...
It's not going to fly very far.
It's a recipe for disaster. So I appreciate everybody for coming along on this ride for the February Spotlight interview. Again, you can find it on the PTK website. If you're a member of PTK or an officer, you can find it on our Teams page. Again, if you are looking to join PTK or you receive an invitation through your email, please join. There's a lot of opportunities for you. And if you would like to be part of the Spotlight interview and sitting in this chair across from me, we have, I believe, 2 more spotlights left for the semester. If you are interested, please reach out to me at my email. That is rcipriano@my.waketech.edu. And with that, I'm Roberto Cipriano. This is Jason Riddle. And thank you for joining us on this Spotlight interview. See you next time.